Hey folks, Ray Gano here, PZTV, and I am so excited to be here at the Watchman Conference here in Dallas, and I have got sitting with me here none other than Josh Tolley. Hey Josh, how's it going?
Hey Ray.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
What have you been thinking about this conference? This has been rocking.
I love it. I love Hear the Watchman. I think this is my fifth, at least it's my fourth, and every one of them just builds. And the theme, iron sharpening iron, we're really seeing that. A lot of people are honing in on what the truth really is. They're, eating meat, as Paul would say. Yeah. We're giving up the milk. So it's good. It's really good.
And what's interesting to me, too, is I've seen, because this is my third Hear the Watchman, and it's just very family-oriented.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you all come back together, and we see each other again, and so there's a warm, loving family atmosphere, and at the end, you kind of hate to go home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, last year, what I noticed is that a theme was, it's time to just drop the walls. We need to start working together. What theme have you seen this year?
I think there's a theme of really defining why we're here. Whether it was Michael Bodia's speech or Dr. Michael Lake's speech or even L.A. Marzulli's. There's this why. Why is this happening? And why are we seeing what we're seeing? Why do we need to get involved? I love when we start asking why.
So do you see us as the remnant?
Well, I think that we're definitely part of it. I think that because the Antichrist never knows when the go code is, I think God's people don't know either.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's always a remnant. I think just like, emergency workers on standby, God has his people selected, picked out, saying, hey, I'm not telling you either, so everybody be ready. But I'm really encouraged by how much lately we've seen people really dig into the Word.
Yeah.
That's been encouraging. I think we haven't seen something like this in at least the last 500 years.
Yeah, and I agree. Do me a favor, tell my readers and viewers about your ministry. I know some of them may know of you, but I don't know if they do.
Well, I'm a little bit of an anomaly. I don't have a ministry. I don't have anything people can give to. I just happen to be a believer. And I write and I speak and that sort of thing. But I guess ultimately I'm an entrepreneur. I think that God tells us to be an entrepreneur from Genesis to Revelation. I think that he warns us against employment actually very vividly in Matthew. So that's always kind of been my premise. And I've always been, since I've been a believer, I've always been in love with this idea of helping other people see what I saw. And I do that through largely business, believe it or not.
Awesome. And so your business is called what? Purple Monkey Garage?
Purple Monkey Garage. That's right. We have 11
cool
offices.
Name.
Thank you so much.
How did you come up with that one?
Well, somebody tried to murder me.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. I'm a victim of an attempted murder. And I came out of this place, this public eatery, I guess, and this guy had a knife and he was there ready to kill me.
Wow.
And I made him mad for something, and he starts yelling every expletive he could think of. Your mother, everything. And I'm thinking, well, I need to control time and distance. Because whoever wins a fight's not always the strongest, fastest, or youngest. It's who can control time and distance. So as he's yelling, I'm thinking, well, how do I get some time here? So I yell back at him at the top of my lungs, purple monkeys eat blue bananas. And he gets this like half of a second deer in the headlight. What? And that half of a second was long enough for me to then take the distance and take care of the situation.
Awesome.
So that's kind of the genesis of the story. And then when I teach business owners how people's minds work, I teach pastors too, actually, how people's minds work. So how do people make beliefs? How do they change beliefs? How do they? That was always part of the story. And it became popular. People started sending me purple monkey stuffed animals. I got purple monkey statues. I got purple monkey keychains. So when I founded the company, I thought, well, let's just call it Purple Monkey Garage.
How cool. How cool. Now, you have a book here that I'm rather intrigued with. It's called Evangelpreneur. Did I say it right?
Very close. Evangelpreneur.
Evangelpreneur. Yes. What is the premises of this?
Well, the idea is that God actually tells us to be entrepreneurs, and he really does. And a lot of people find this hard to believe because for the past about 105 years, we've been taught to be employees. But in the Bible, there's only 4 types of people: masters, laborers, servants, and slaves. That's it. Well, a master we know, he's the rich guy on top of the hill. Slave we know, doesn't really have an option. That leaves us with servants and laborers. Well, Matthew tells us we cannot be a servant to God and money. Not that it's a bad thing to do or it's a sin. So you can't. So we really need to understand what a servant looks like. Well, biblically, a servant would work a 10 to 12-hour day. A servant would start his day when the master told him to.
Okay.
When do we go to work? A servant would have his day end when the master told him to.
Yeah.
When do we get to go home from work? If the servant saved up enough money, he could buy his freedom. Today we call that retirement. Oh, if I could just save up enough money. If the servant loved his master, he could go to the city gate, put an awl through his ear, take his master's mark, and be his for life. Today we call that tenure and pension.
Wow.
We are servants to money if we're employed.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's a really hard thing for people to realize. And typically they'll say, well, I'm not serving money. That's the rich guy. The rich guy serves money. Servants were never rich.
No.
Part of the sign that you were a servant was you weren't rich. And it's not about a prosperity gospel. That's not it at all. But it's about God told you do not serve money.
Yeah.
God tells us from Genesis to Revelation that his preferred method for us is entrepreneurship.
Exactly. And it's interesting you talk about that, because my wife and I, we kid a lot about, we've been entrepreneurs almost my entire life, or our entire lives, and we now call ourselves, because we have so many irons in the fire, we're serial entrepreneurs. We just can't help it. I think I worked for Homeland Security for a couple of years, and I hated it. And I went back to working for myself. So now I do work for the boss. I have the Lord Jesus Christ, who's my boss. And,
well, that's good, because we're supposed to be serving.
Yeah, and so he's my boss. In fact, I call him, he's the chief financial officer. And then I am the director of operations. So whenever I get involved with the finance arena, things go wrong. Whereas if I maintain my focus on being the chief, the director of operations, and continue making the company go, then things seem to work fine.
Yeah.
So I love serving the Lord. I love being an entrepreneur. And so this is very exciting.
There's no better business partner than God himself.
Yeah, oh, totally.
It's just amazing how many blessings come from that.
So how did you fall into being an entrepreneur?
After
getting, attempted murder and...
Well, actually, I became an entrepreneur, I guess, first in school, middle school. I was an entrepreneur. But when I graduated, I could only read at a 7-year-old level.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I graduated functionally illiterate. I was too shy to order a hamburger from McDonald's. I couldn't answer the phone if it rang.
Oh, wow.
But I knew I needed to be an entrepreneur, because everybody kept telling me, go to school, go to college, get good grades, get a good job.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that work for anybody.
Yeah.
Statistically, it doesn't. You have a 98% chance of being dead or broke on your 65th birthday if you're employed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's stupid. That's not God's plan.
Yeah.
So 3 days after high school, I started a business, and it failed. Started another one, and it failed. But by the time I got to about 21, I kind of got the hang of this thing.
Yeah.
And I started helping other people start businesses. And I remember I wasn't a believer at the time. I was sitting down across the table from a couple in their mid-30s. They had a couple kids. And I helped get their business to a point where one of them could retire, come home, raise the kids.
Awesome.
And they both started crying. I said, what are you crying for? And they said, we've been praying for something to change. We knew there had to be more to life than this. And I thought, wow, this is more than money. This is huge. Yeah. So I started thinking, how many other people go to bed every night thinking, is this all life is? Yeah. And that included believers. Yeah. And, now I go to churches and, you'll hear 10 prayer requests. 9 of them are for money. And it's like, why are we not teaching people the truth here?
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing, amazing. We have, you just got recently married. Well, actually, you're getting ready to have a child here, too.
Yes, I am, yes.
Your wife... and we kind of have a weird connection here, but your wife her parents are actually friends of ours.
That's amazing.
We met in Boquete, Panama.
That is amazing.
And Dawn and, I now forget Dawn's wife.
Cindy,
and Dawn and Cindy. And we knew them down in Boquete, Panama, and it was interesting. And in fact, last year here at the Watchman, they were here, and I ran into them. It's like, what are you guys doing here? Oh,
that's
wow,
amazing.
we're I forget your wife's name too.
Brittany's,
we're Brittany's parents. And I go, she married to Josh Tolley? And she goes, yeah. And so it was a total trip. So
that's wild.
It's a small world after all, how all this works and everything. But just interesting times, interesting things. What did you speak on? I'm sorry, I didn't get to see you. I was interviewing some other people.
So today I spoke on why they don't believe, the real reason people don't believe in God and what we can do about it. And we took on some of the lies. People use excuses like, science is the reason I don't believe in God, and I don't believe in a God who's mean, and there's too many gods out there, how do you pick? All these excuses we hear. And we tore all those apart and really realized that there's only 4 reasons people don't believe in God. It's either pride, pain, fear, or guilt. That's it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in God, it's one of those 4 reasons
Interesting.
why.
Interesting.
Yep. So we talked about that a little bit, and then what we can do about it. And that's getting back to the truth.
Yeah.
Why are there 41,000 Christian denominations? Why? The Jews have been around for 6,000 years, and there's 5 denominations. The Muslims have been around for about 1,500 years, and there's 2 denominations. We've had the English Bible for 500 years, and we have 41,000 denominations.
Oh, man.
What did we do wrong?
Yeah.
And so we presented this idea that part of the problem is Christianity starts at the end of the book. Like, we have this idea that there's a new religion that's dawned on page 512. And the reality is that that's not true. If you actually read the Bible from Genesis 1 forward, you see that it's one religion, one faith, one people.
Exactly.
And so we kind of took on that too. But it was a great time, and I think it resonated with a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, folks, I'm going to encourage you to get the streaming video from Fear the Watchman. And in fact, you can order it still and get access for 6 whole months. In fact, if you use Tolley 20, I believe.
Yes, Tolley 20.
Tolley 20, you'll get $20 off, and you'll be able to watch it over and over and over again for the next 6 months. This is a great investment, folks. It'll help you. I totally encourage you to do this. Help support here the Watchman Ministry. They are doing an incredible job, and it's just like being here. It's been wonderful. You get to see Josh. You'll be seeing me. I'm going to be speaking on demonization and deliverance. This has just been an insane conference with a lot of great information. So I totally encourage you to get this. I want to thank Josh Tolley for coming on PZTV.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. Been fun. We'll see you later, folks. You're watching PZTV. Bye-bye. God bless. And Maranatha.